Okay, welcome back to Precious Online School. So our first video we're going to talk about is the cell. But before the cell, why are we learning about the cell? Why is this cell so important? And why can the human body can't do without cell? But before we start learning this cell, let me just introduce you to biology. So this is biology and the cell is under biology. Now the word bio means study, and the word bio means life, and the word logy means study. So when you hear biology, we're talking about the study of life. So biology is the study of life. So in biology, our main major focus in biology is the cell. So in this video, we're going to talk about the cell. Now, what is the cell? The cell is the basic structural and functional unit of life. So what I said, the cell is the basic structural and functional unit of life. You see, I mentioned three things: basic, structural, and functional units of life. So when we hear the word basic, which means we cannot do without it. So the word basic means we cannot do without it. So cell is a structure or a molecule we cannot do without it. Why I said structural? So structural means all the human bodies, all living things are made up of cell. All the human bodies have structures. All living things have structures. So when I said the cell is the structural unit of life, mean that anything that has cell has structure. Now, functional. Functional means this cell is responsible for the daily functional of living things. So for the body to function, we are talking about the cell. So how your body function, for example, when you urinate, when you are secreting hormones, when you are eating, all those things are done by cells, signals. So the cell is the basic structural and functional unit of life, and the human body is made up of about 100 trillions of cells. So the human body is made up of about 100 trillions of cells. So we have white blood cells, red blood cells, and the plasma, the plates. Now we have two types of cells, which are the prokaryotic cells and the eukaryotic cells. So the prokaryotes and the eukaryotes. Example of a prokaryotic cell is bacteria. An example of the eukaryotic cell is humans. So humans are examples of eukaryotic cells. So why are they classified as prokaryotic cell and why are they classified as eukaryotic cell? So first, what are prokaryotes? The word pro means before, and the word eu means true. So, and this "riot" here means not or nucleus, or not or nucleus. So you can say it, driver, you are driving me carrots. That is the language of a biology student. Hey man, you are driving me carrots. You have actually said you are driving me nuts. So the word carrots means nuts. So before, we say before nuts. That's what's called prokaryotes, or before nucleus. Eukaryotes means true nucleus. That is the implication. So prokaryotes are cells that do not have well defined bonded nucleus membrane, while eukaryotes are cells that have well defined bonded nuclear membrane. Don't worry, we are going to dive deep in our next lecture of cells, but I'm just introducing you to cells. Now Let's talk about the cell theory. What is the cell theory? The cell theory is just trying to explain what cell is talking about, why cell is important, why you cannot do without the cell, why the human body activity, energy production of our body requires cells. So what is the first law of cell theory? The first law of cell theory is all living things are composed of cells. All living things are composed of cell. That is the first law. So what is the meaning of what is the implication of this? All living things, and from our prior knowledge or from our basic knowledge, what is all living things? Living things are those things that have life in them. That is all living things. They can breathe, they can take in oxygen. Why? They are composed of cell. This word composed, you can replace it is made. So simple English, all living things are made of cell, are made up of cells. So when you talk about composed, you mean that everything about living things are made up of cells. Now, the second law, the cell is the basic functional unit of life. The cell is the basic functional unit of life. So the cell is the basic functional, basic, which we know the meaning of basic, functional, meaning everything about the cell is functional. Is we are functioning. Everything, how you eat, how you digest food, how you take in food, how you interpret informations, everything you do, everything that makes you up, why you are doing something, why you touch a hot plate and you immediately drop it, the cell will explain that in the nervous system. So the cell is functional, they are functional. Everything about your body is what we call functioning. And this functioning and are composed of cell. This cell is just trying to tell us that the cells, collection of cells made up of the what? The tissue. So when I collect cells, when I collect similar cells together, we form the tissue. That's what that is the two implication of this word. They are composed. All of things are composed and they functional. They are basic. So when you talk about cells, means collection of cells, tissue form tissue. While collection of tissues form organ. Why collection of organ form system? Why collection of system now perform the body's function? Look at the function we're talking about. So when I collect similar cells, we form tissues. When I collect similar tissues, we form organ. And when I collect similar organ, we form system. This system perform the body's function. That is the second law of the cell theory. Now, what is the third theory? The third theory is saying that cells came from pre-existing cells. So cells came from pre-existing cells. So cells, they came from pre-existing cells. So my third one is cells came from pre-existing cells. So cells came from, meaning that for us to form cell, there is already an existing cell. Example, in fertilization, whereby the male and female gametes fuse together to form what you are today, meaning that the sperm there is a cell and the egg there is a cell. So when the sperm join together with this egg, they form you. You watching me now, they form you. When sperm and egg join together, they form a zygote, which is you, which undergo mitosis diffusion to form you. So the cells come from pre-existing cell, meaning that for them to have a cell, it came from a place. So for a cell to exist, it came from a place. That is the meaning of these pre-existing cells. So cells came from pre-existing cells. So there is already a cell existing before another cell is made. So cells came from pre-existing. So what is the first? What the cell theory? What is the first one? All living things are made up of cell. Second one, the cell is the basic functional unit of life. Third one, cell arise only from pre-existing cells. Third one, the fourth one, cells carries the genetic information of the body. It carries the genetic information of the body, which we call the DNA. So DNA is the genetic information of the body. This is where everything that is occurring in your body takes place. So cells carries the basic information of the cell, and this basic information is what's called the DNA. Now let's talk about the structure of a cell. Now in our next lectures, I will introduce you to the diagram of a cell. I will differentiate between animal cells and plant cells. We're going to talk about many things about the cells. So first, let me draw a simple structure of a cell. Now in the cell, we have this basic, which we cannot do about. So this is called the nucleus, and this is called the cell membrane, and this is called the cytoplasm of the cell. So I'm introducing you to this because I want to differentiate cytoplasm from nucleoplasm and from cytosol. So this is our basic cell. So in every cell, in whether prokaryotic cell or eukaryotic cell, we have the cell membrane. Any cell, every cell contains cell membrane and nucleus, then cytoplasm. Except from the prokaryotic cell does not have this nucleus. They have nucleus-like. That's what you call it. They have nucleoid. Nucleoid means nucleus-like. They do not have complete nucleus. They have nucleus-like. That's why we call the prokaryotes are called what? Nucleoid. They have nucleoid nucleus, not nucleus. So take note of that. So all cells are made up of the cell membrane, the cytoplasm, and the nucleus. Now in the cytoplasm, in the cell, we have the protoplasm. Now, this protoplasm is the collection of cytoplasms and nucleoplasms. So this is the collection of cytoplasms and nucleoplasms. So when they ask you what is protoplasm, protoplasm means the collection of cytoplasms and nucleoplasms. So what is nucleoplasms? Nucleoplasms is the jelly-like fluid of the cell that has organelles. What I said, nucleoplasms is the jelly-like fluid of the cell that have organelles. Don't worry if you don't understand that. I'll explain this later. Now, the nucleoplasm is the nucleus. So everything found inside the nuclear membrane is called the nucleus. Now, I said the cytoplasm. What does the cytoplasm signify? The cytoplasm signifies that we have cytosol plus organelle. So we have cytoplasm plus organelle. So cytoplasm means cytosol plus organelle. So the cytosol is the jelly fluid-like of the cell, while the organelle is the subunit divided particles of the cell that perform a specific function. This is just the introduction of the cell. So when I come, I will detail you on the full lectures of cell. Don't forget to like and keep on supporting us as we prepare you best for the future, for the better version of yourself, and to trash any exam, both WAEC, JAMB, GCE, any exam you're preparing for, you're in the right place. Goodbye.